G'day guys, BJ Lyons from 618 Barbell here. We have a Novice Powerlifting comp coming up this Sunday at 618 Barbell. So I wanted to put a quick video together just running through what to expect from your weigh-ins right through to the end of your competition day. I've got a few novice lifters lifting in their first competition, so hopefully this is going to help them out. Anybody else watching at home, hopefully it'll help you out too. If you can do me a favor before we get into it, go down, subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and we'll get into the video. Okay, so let's start by saying not all competitions are ran exactly the same, so I'm going to be giving you details for what to expect at a novice competition at a 618 barbell comp, alright? A few different gyms will run some rules closer to some federations. Some gyms don't do weigh-ins for novice comps and won't run first, second, thirds or podiums, which is awesome as well, but we like to do it. We aim our novice competitions to be as close to a sanctioned powerlifting event as it can be, with a little bit of leeway and warnings if something doesn't quite go right for you, the individual lifter. We do this so it's a nice and easy step getting into sanctioned events. So all the difference is putting on the spandex soft suit and registering with your federation that you're going to compete with. So we do run a weigh-in. We run a 24-hour weigh-in at 618 barbell comps. This means from 24 hours before the competition, you can weigh in. What is a weigh-in? Weigh-in is where we get you on the scales, get your body weight. That's going to be used in the Glossbrenner formula with your total at the end of the day to dictate where you sort of rank in the rankings for all the lifting during the day. In our novice competitions, if you do not want to weigh in, you can nominate not to do that. That's absolutely fine. You'll just rock up at the bottom of the spreadsheet with your total and how your day went. Just won't be comparing yourself to your body weight. The reason we also find it beneficial for a 24-hour weigh-in is it gives you the chance to get your pin heights and openers in with our staff or our competition table, the guys that run the table on the day nice and early. So it gives us a chance to get nice and prepared. So before the competition starts, whether you choose to weigh in, our two options at 618 Barbell again are 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. the Saturday before the competition and 8 a.m. till 9 a.m. strictly the day of the competition. Reason we weigh in then is because we also need to get your pin heights. So the pin heights are the height adjustment on the monolift that we use for the squats and the height adjustment for your J hooks on your bench press and your face savers or bar catches on your bench press as well. So they need to be done because you let us know and we set all that up for you as you go up for your attempt. You don't have to touch anything apart from the weight. We also in weigh-ins need to get your opening attempt. So you should know when you come in for your weigh-in, whether it's a day before or the day of, you should know firmly what your opening squat, so your first attempt squat, first attempt bench press, and first attempt deadlift are going to be. We need to put them into the spreadsheet so we can then create a running list or a flight list of the day, who's lifting in what order, which will generally go from who's opening on the lightest to who's opening on the heaviest. Okay, so opening attempt can be changed prior to your flight be starting, but generally you should have a pretty good idea if you're messing around with openers the day of or 30 minutes before competition. Chances are you're probably not as prepared as you should be. Openers don't matter. Openers are just a lift to get on the board, and that's going to at least tally one lift for you in the squat, the bench, or the deadlift. All right. When it comes to attempts, so we get 3 attempts at each lift. We get 3 squat attempts, 3 bench press attempts, and 3 deadlift attempts, and they go in that order, okay? So your best attempt at each lift will qualify towards your total. So say if you get your first squat, miss your second squat, but then nail your third squat, your third would be your heaviest, that is going to carry over to your total. Same deal, if you miss your first 2 bench, hit your last bench, that last bench is going to carry over. Deadlift, say if you hit your opener and then you have a bad day and miss your second and third, obviously your opening deadlift is going to be carried over to your total. So your total is your 3 best individual lifts added together. Say if it was 100, 50 and 100, you would have a 250 kilo total. That goes into a Glossbrenner formula with your age and your body weight, and that's how we work out the scores for the rankings. Some things you need to know for attempts is you can not go lighter than any attempt once you've put it in. So if you put in 100 kilos for your squat opener and you miss it on your first attempt, you cannot then reduce it to 90 kilos to make it a little bit easier. Attempts can only climb. They also can only be in 2.5 kilo increments. So you can't go 54, you have to go 55 or 57.5 or 52.5. When you compete on the day, you will hit your first attempt. Let's use squats for an example. You will do your first squat. As soon as you finish that squat, you will head off the platform and give your second attempt to the table, the desk that's operating the spreadsheet. Then we will know what to load for you. Again, you don't have to touch the bar or anything like that. We put the plates on, we load it to your height. You just rock up, hit your second attempt, and then you will give your third attempt in as you finish your second, obviously. If you fail to register your second or third attempt, the desk will automatically put it up 2.5 kilos and you will not be able to change that, okay? All right, so you won't hit all three. It's something I better cover real quick. You won't hit all three of your lifts in a row. Say if there is 15 people in a competition and you were first, you will lift your first attempt. Then all the other 14 people will lift their first attempt. Then you'll come back for your second. They'll all hit their second, their third. So you can generally bank on about 10 minutes rest at least in between your first and second and third attempts on squat, bench, or deadlift, okay? Now, bars loaded is a very important call you need to know about on the competition. Bars loaded, we use that so we can keep the platform, the competition platform, clear of anybody that's not meant to be on there. So like I was saying before, you don't have to load your weights, you don't have to set your bar up or anything like that. We have people on the platform, your spotters and loaders, doing it for you. To keep the platform free so they don't get interrupted or make any mistakes, you're not allowed on the platform for your attempt until the bar is loaded is called. On the day, there will be a list of who's lifting in what order. You'll need to keep an eye on that. When you're next up for the lifts, next off the rank for the lifts, you should be standing near the platform ready to go. You need to wait for the head referee to call bar is loaded, and that is your cue to know that we've set everything up, we're ready to go, and you have 60 seconds to start your to initiate your lift. So 60 seconds is plenty of time to walk from next to the platform to on the platform, get under the bar, set yourself up, and start your squat. Quick tips for everybody: you should have, whilst you're next to the platform ready to go, your equipment should be on. If your knees are being wrapped, they should be wrapped well and truly, like one lifter before you probably. Your wrist wraps should be on, your belt should be with you. You won't have time to run away, get something, and come back most times, okay? All right, so bars loaded is on the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. Now we're going to quickly go into the individual lifts. I've got some screen grabs of a live stream for one of our last comps we're just going to have a quick look at as well, but we'll talk about them in the order that they go through. Number one, squat. So squat, we have some rules on personal equipment. So in novice comps, we need to wear shorts and t-shirt basically, or leggings. We just need to be able to see the knees and the hips clearly and the elbows. So you can't wear long sleeve t-shirts or jumpers. You can't wear trackies because we can't see if the knees and the hips are straight, etc. But and we need enclosed shoes on all lifts, whether that's deadlift slippers or sneakers. That's cool. Now with the squat, personal equipment means our lifting equipment. So in the squat, we're allowed to wear knee sleeves, knee wraps or bare knees, a lifting belt, and wrist wraps. Very important that when we have our wrist wraps on, generally they have a bit of elastic loop that we loop around our thumb and wrap it up. Once you've tied your wrap off, you need to take that thumb loop off your thumb so it's not in contact between your hand and the barbell. Okay, no elbow coverage is allowed in squats, no compression cuffs, no squat suits, no extra assistance like that, okay? In the squat, we have 3 commands. Bars loaded. Actually, that's not really a command, but we're going to pretend it in. Once bars loaded is called, then you will walk onto the platform and start your lift. In the squat, we have a start command from the head ref, who will be sitting directly in front of you, and a rack command. Now, you unrack the bar, wait for the head ref to give you the squat command, you start your descent. Once you hit depth, you immediately come up, don't hesitate at the bottom. Once you've stood up your rep, you hold it, wait for the rack command, and then put your bar into the rack. So here we've got a quick video of one of my clients, Vincent, doing a squat in competition. I've I've muted the audio just because it's a bit average from a live feed. So I'm going to give the commands verbally myself, okay? So bars loaded has been called. Vincent walks up to the platform. Nice and casually, calm, collected. I think this was his opening, I can't quite see, but I think it was his opening attempt. All right, he's set his feet under the bar. He's stood it up. Once he looks like he's in control, head ref will say squat. Starts his squat, comes back up. Head ref will say rack. Then he puts it on the rack. Successful lift, we can see by 3 white lights up here. He will then go off the platform and put in his second attempt. All right. So reasons for the disqualification for the squat could be failing to adhere to any command. So squatting before the squat command, racking before the squat command. Other things that can mainly is going to be squat depth. So we need to get our hip crease below parallel, below the top of our knee. Feet moving anywhere, whether forwards or backwards, so not solid footing between the squat and the rack command. Bar dip, which is when, say, we're grinding really hard on the way up and one side dips back down and then comes back up. You can get a red light for that. That includes double bouncing in the hole. So if you go down to the bottom of the squat, come up, dip down, try to bounce out with a bit more force, that will give you bar dip, red light. And obviously failure to adhere to personal equipment. I think that's pretty much the basics. There's definitely another couple in there, but not really anything you'll need to worry about at a novice comp, okay? Next, we'll have a look at the bench press. So in the bench press, our personal equipment is wrist wraps are allowed, thumb loops have to be off, belt is allowed, no knee coverage, no elbow coverage, and we must have enclosed footwear. Our commands on the bench press in our novice competitions are start before we start our descent, press before we press our rep, and rack before we rack our rep. All right, we have a video here of our friend, Gary Jones hitting a 175. So bars loaded's been called. He's got 60 seconds to come and set himself up. There was actually no start command here because it is a capo competition, but in our novice competitions we use the start command. So once the bar's unracked and settled, the head ref sitting behind him will say start, press, rack. So we're waiting for that bar to be settled before you'll get any of those commands. If you're floundering around and the weight's flopping all over the place, you will not get that start command, okay? All right, so failures for the bench press, reasons for disqualification. Bar dip again, so if we come down, bar comes up, drips down, and comes back up again. Failure to adhere to your start, press, or rack commands. Feet moving on the floor, so throughout between the start and the rack command. Bum coming off the bench press between the start and the rack command at any time. Contact with the upright, so if you bench up and back too fast and it hits your upright and then you recover and come out, you may get a red light for that. There is some other ones like touching your feet to the uprights or the posts underneath the bench, but they're pretty minor and you'll probably more get a warning for that on a novice comp. Disqualification on a sanctioned event, okay? Finally, we have our deadlift. So with the deadlift, our personal equipment, I forgot. With our bench press and our squat, I do have a list here and I've stuffed it all up, but with our bench press and our squat, we have to be wearing a t-shirt as well. We need coverage of the shoulders, so there's something in between you and the barbell, so the next person isn't getting you all over them off the barbell, if that makes sense, okay? When it comes to the deadlift, we can wear a singlet because there's no upper body contact with the barbell. T-shirt's still fine though. Personal equipment, the only thing we're allowed to use is a belt. We are not allowed to use any grip aids, so straps or deadlift hooks or anything. Our shins must be covered, so we have to have either knee-height socks or tights, full-length tights, or knee sleeves over our shins, or the very worst, a buttload of medical tape up the shins. That is to stop your bar from tearing your shins, bleeding on it, and then the same thing happening to the next person. With our competition commands, deadlift is a little bit different. We only technically have one, which is the down command. Once the bar is loaded, you have 60 seconds to get onto the platform and initiate your deadlift. So bar's loaded, you can run up, you can sprint up and rip that bastard off the floor if you want, or you can spend 60 seconds getting yourself in position, nice and tight, and then pull from there. Once the barbell is at lockout, which we'll go through in a minute, the head ref will give you the down command, and then you must control the barbell to the floor. We can let the weight fall to the floor pretty quickly as long as we have a firm grip on the bar until it's stopped bouncing on the floor, okay? To be safe, you want to bring it down, say with 40% control. Keep your hands on that bar until it stops moving. The worst thing is someone getting excited from hitting a PR and dropping it halfway down. We see it all the time, so be very, very careful. All right, so that's personal equipment and commands. So we'll quickly have a look at the deadlift video. Here we have another one of my clients, Alex Doggett, pulling 235 for, I believe, a first or a second attempt. So bars loaded has been called. He's pulling conventional or sumo, all good, does not matter. Gets his grip on the bar, performs his deadlift, holds the lockout, down. Command is given by the ref, controls the bar to the floor, and we have a good lift. All right, so reasons for disqualification with the deadlift. Obviously not wearing the right PPE, personal equipment, bar dip again, hitching, which is where you'll see in strongman a lot, where people will pull the bar up over their knees, slouch into it and let the bar rest on their thighs for a moment, and then try to, that's called ramping, sorry, and then try to ramp the bar up their thighs from there. Hitching is where the bar gets stuck halfway and we try to whip it and bounce it up to our lockout. Letting go of the bar before the bar is settled on the ground, and not quite achieving lockout. So a technical deadlift lockout is knees in extension, hips in extension, and shoulders neutral. So if you're hunched forward with your shoulders not quite locked out through there, you might not get the down command. If your knees are slightly bent and you've ramped the bar, you might get a red light, no down command for that. Okay, so that pretty much covers it, I think. One other thing that no doubt someone's going to ask is the lighting system. So we have 3 referees watching each and every lift. Majority rules. So you've got 2 on the sides, 1 on the front. If you get 2 white lights and 1 red, that is a good lift. If you get 3 white lights, that's a great lift. If you get 3 reds, no lift. If you get 2 reds and a white, no lift, okay? We have 3 refs there because they're only human. You can only see so much from each position. If on the day you get a red light and you're not sure what for, try to get your handler to ask, or ask someone offside of the competition. Stopping the referees in the middle of a comp might fuck up someone else's attempts just because you want to know what happened with yours, okay? So not very fair. Just try to be sportsman about it. All right, so this is a long one. I think I'm going to leave it there. Please, if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to delve into further, whack them in the comments below. Feel free to share this with any of your friends that are competing that might need a hand. I really appreciate it. If you'd hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with further content that I'll be putting out. All right, I'm going to leave you there. Time to go to work and lift some weights. Stay strong. Party on.